Deep in the primeval, shadow-draped forests of ancient northern Europe, long before the establishment of sprawling modern cities or the written word, the Germanic tribes worshipped a pantheon of gods perfectly reflecting the harsh, unforgiving world they inhabited. At the absolute pinnacle of this divine hierarchy stood Woden, an infinitely complex and terrifyingly powerful entity who would later be known to the Viking Age Scandinavians as Odin, the Allfather. Unlike the benevolent, purely righteous creator deities of many other world religions, or the sanitized grandfatherly figure frequently depicted in modern pop culture blockbusters, the historical Wodan was a deeply unpredictable, dangerous, and morally ambiguous force of nature. His very name derives from the ancient Proto-Germanic word wodas, which translates directly to fury, madness, or poetic inspiration, perfectly capturing his dual nature as both the supreme god of brutal warfare and the divine patron of art, hidden knowledge, and esoteric wisdom. To the ancient Germanic people, Wodan was not a distant ruler sitting peacefully on a golden throne, but an active, restless wanderer who constantly roamed the mortal realms in the disguise of a ragged, one-eyed old man wrapped in a dark blue cloak, pulling the strings of human destiny and deciding the fates of entire empires. The most defining characteristic of Wodan is his agonizing, relentless, and almost obsessive pursuit of cosmic wisdom. A journey that demanded horrific personal sacrifices and pushed him to the very edges of existence. According to the ancient cosmological myths, the universe was held together by the colossal ash tree Yggdrasil, whose roots plunged into the unknown depths of creation. And Wodan understood that true, universe-altering power could only be claimed through profound suffering. In a terrifying act of self-mutilation and ritual sacrifice, Wodan pierced his own side with his legendary spear, Gungnir, and hung himself from the wind-swept branches of the World Tree for 9 agonizing days and 9 freezing nights, denying himself any food or water. As he hovered on the razor-thin boundary between life and death, staring into the dark abyss below, the secrets of the cosmos were finally revealed to him in the form of the runes, the magical alphabet that granted him the power to heal wounds, bind enemies, and unchain prisoners with a single spoken word. However, his unquenchable thirst for knowledge did not stop there, as he later traveled to the mythical well of Mimir, a sacred spring bubbling with pure cosmic intelligence, where the guardian of the well demanded a heavy toll for a single sip of the illuminating water. Without a moment of hesitation, Wodan gouged out his own right eye and dropped it into the depths of the spring, willingly trading a portion of his physical vision for an eternal, unmatched inner sight that allowed him to perceive the hidden truths of the universe and foresee the inevitable apocalyptic doom of the gods known as Ragnarok. Beyond his role as a seeker of arcane wisdom, Wodan was fundamentally revered and feared as the supreme master of warfare and the final judge of the fallen dead, shaping the hyper-aggressive martial culture of the Germanic tribes. He was not a god of tactical, organized, or defensive combat, but rather the divine embodiment of battle frenzy, a terrifying psychological state where human warriors lost all sense of pain, fear, and rational thought. Those who devoted themselves entirely to Wodan, known historically as the Berserkers, were believed to be possessed by his divine fury, allowing them to fight with the supernatural strength of wild bears or wolves, ignoring mortal wounds and striking terror into the hearts of the heavily armored Roman legions who encountered them in the dark forests of Germania. When the deafening clash of iron finally ceased and the battlefields fell completely silent, Wodan transformed into the Lord of the Dead, dispatching his supernatural winged maidens known as the Valkyries to descend upon the blood-soaked earth and carefully select the absolute bravest of the fallen warriors. These chosen souls were carried away to his magnificent celestial hall, a towering fortress of spears and shields, where they would spend their afterlife feasting, drinking, and fighting endlessly to prepare for the final, world-ending battle against the forces of chaos, proving that for the worshippers of Woden, death in combat was not a tragic end, but the ultimate spiritual reward. Woden never traveled through the cosmos alone, as he was constantly accompanied by a chilling entourage of mythical beasts that symbolized his supreme connection to the predatory forces of the wild and the inevitable reality of death. Resting heavily upon his broad shoulders were two highly intelligent ravens named Hugin and Munin, representing human thought and memory, who flew across the entirety of the mortal world every single day to gather whispered secrets, observe the actions of men, and return at sunset to whisper the accumulated knowledge of the earth directly into his ears. At his feet prowled two massive ravenous wolves named Geri and Freki, entities perfectly embodying his insatiable hunger for both knowledge and the souls of fallen warriors. And he fed them entirely with the meat from his own plate at the divine banquets, as he himself required nothing but dark wine to sustain his eternal existence. As the harsh winter months descended upon northern Europe, bringing endless nights and freezing storms, the Germanic tribes huddled inside their wooden longhouses in absolute terror, listening to the howling winds, because they believed Woden was leading the terrifying phenomenon known as the Wild Hunt. During these freezing, storm-ravaged nights, the god rode his magical eight-legged steed, Sleipnir, through the blackened skies, accompanied by a shrieking, ghostly procession of fallen warriors, spectral hounds and restless spirits, tearing through the clouds and sweeping up any foolish mortals who dared to wander outside during the chaotic, supernatural storm. The profound cultural legacy of Woden proved to be incredibly resilient, surviving the violent collapse of the Roman Empire and deeply embedding itself into the foundational language, folklore, and daily life of modern Western civilization. His presence is still felt every single week by billions of people around the globe, as the English word Wednesday directly translates to Woden's Day, an enduring linguistic monument to a deity who once commanded the absolute devotion of half of the European continent. As Christianity aggressively swept across the northern lands during the early Middle Ages, the new religious authorities recognized that the psychological grip of Wodan was far too powerful to be erased overnight, so they systematically demonized his image, transforming the supreme wise Allfather into a sinister, devilish figure associated with witchcraft, dark magic, and demonic pacts. Yet, despite centuries of religious suppression, Wodan simply refused to die, shifting seamlessly from religious dogma into the realm of enduring folklore, where elements of his wandering nature, his long white beard, and his midwinter rides through the sky subtly influenced the eventual creation of the modern Santa Claus myth, proving his unmatched ability to adapt and survive. Today, as we look back at the chaotic, fascinating, and deeply philosophical mythology of the ancient Germanic people, Woden stands as a monumental representation of humanity's eternal struggle to understand the brutal realities of nature, the heavy price of enlightenment, and the unavoidable destiny that awaits us all in the dark. Thank you for exploring the dark and fascinating mythology of Woden with me today. If this journey into the ancient Germanic forests and the ultimate sacrifice for cosmic wisdom captivated you, please hit the like button to support our growing community. Do you find Wodan's relentless pursuit of knowledge inspiring, or does his chaotic nature terrify you? Share your thoughts and interpretations in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the legendary myths that shaped human history. Until next time, stay curious and stay vigilant.